Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we have something a little bit different for you today. Now that my Swedish series of reviews that I did for you over Christmas has all published, I thought I would go over to California once again, and this is a brewery who I've never tried anything from, so it should be quite an interesting one. So we're going to go to San Diego in Southern California, somewhere I went when I was quite young, don't remember it so well, but it's supposed to be really nice and a big home of craft beer incidentally. But we're going to go to Modern Times Beer and have a taste of their Oneida beer, which is their summer seasonal, and it's described as being an American pale ale. It comes in at 5.8%, and one of the interesting points about this beer is that it has an experimental hop variety, and the number of this one is 05256. So it should be a really interesting beer. As I always say in these videos, it's really cool to always go and try new breweries, and especially when their beers have experimental hops and malts and things in them. This should be a really good beer, and it was rated, I think, 85 or 90 on Beer Advocate now I checked out. And as I always say, that website very rarely leads you wrong when it comes to craft beer, so very much looking forward to this one. So anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that I'll do from Modern Times Beer. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers incidentally, and I was quite lucky to get this one because Sisti and Bologet here brought it in as a small party, which is a small batch buy. So hopefully I can try some more of their things. But below you'll also find the social media links down there, the Facebook, the Twitter and the Untappd, all for the channel. So please like those and subscribe and all of this sort of thing. Feel free to get in touch with me, and please subscribe to the channel as well. Your support would be much appreciated. And to my Californian viewers, please do recommend me some other kind of more random craft breweries to have a look at in California. We get a lot of the kind of quite well known ones over here in Sweden and at home in Scotland, so please let me know some of the more lesser known ones so that I can actually have a look at these. So anyway, I'll tell you about Modern Times Beer now. So these guys, like I told you, are actually one of the newer breweries in San Francisco. They were founded in 2013 and they're based in the Point Loma district of San Diego in California, and that was quite an interesting point for me because here in Lund, Sweden, maybe about 10 miles or so to the west on the coast, there's a really beautiful little town called Loma, quite a famous beach town here in Sweden. But this brewery was founded back in 2013 by Jacob McKean, who's a beer geek, a home brewer and a former Stone Brewing employee. One of the best breweries in the world these days actually. But the brewery brewed their first batch of beer on the 18th of May 2013, and they had their first beers on tap in their on-site tasting room on the 9th of August before their grand opening finally happened on the 1st of September 2013. But the brewery operate a 30 BBL system, and today their beers are quite widely distributed throughout Southern California, and obviously you can get them in really quite random places like here in Sweden these days. But the brewery is named after the utopian community founded in 1850, and most of their beers are actually named after utopian ideas or mythological utopias. But apparently modern times colony people lived with it with bartering economy. They had lived without the restriction of marriage, and they experimented with less exploitative and more kind of pleasurable world. It almost sounds a little bit like the kind of socialist ideology actually. But today the Modern Times colony is in Brentwood on Long Island in New York State, but they kind of folded after people from the city moved in and destroyed it. But Jacob has always been very keen on these little pockets of history, and so this was why he decided to name the brewery Modern Times Beer after this little community from Long Island in New York. So that's a kind of little bit about Modern Times Beer. As I say, they're a very new brewery, so that history will no doubt be expanded in the fairly near future, and there'll be many good things to come from these guys. Their beer is really highly rated, but despite them being a very new brewery, they actually do have quite a formidable range of beers, and they are quite prolific in their beer production. So in their core range, they've got the Loma Land, which is a saison, Fortunate Islands, which is a tropical hopped wheat beer, there's Black House, which is a coffee stout, and there's the Blazing World, which is an amber beer. So in their seasonal range as well, they've got 4 seasonal beers. This one is the summer one. So they've got the Booming Rollers, which is the spring beer, available March to May, which is a Citra IPA. There's this guy here, Oneida, which is the summer one, available June to August, but I got it quite late in November. This one's an American Pale Ale. There's the Aurora, which is the fall beer, or autumn as we would say in Europe. This is September to November availability. It's a red rye IPA. And there's also the City of the Sun, which is their winter beer, available from December to February, and this one is an IPA. And they've also got a range of bottled beers which changes every year, and they release a new beer every month. So as you can see, this brewery is quite prolific, and you can always try new things from Modern Times Beer. So do go and check them out. As I said, brewery website's in the description below. It's actually quite a nice website. It has a list of all the different beers, and you can read about the Modern Times kind of colony, if you like, in New York, in Long Island. So quite an interesting website, go and check it out like I say, and an interesting brewery, so you might want to try some of their beers. So anyway, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer. This one has got a little bit sweaty since it's come out of the fridge, but as you can see, quite simply presented in the can. It actually works quite well. It's only there's kind of special edition beers that they do in bottle. Most of them are canned, and quite a few American breweries are doing that these days. Of course, that started in Colorado with Oscar Blues, and a lot of other Colorado breweries followed after that. But this one, as I say, it's a 5.8% American Pale Ale. It says on the back, Oneida is vigorously hoppy, aromatic Pale Ale, saturated with Hallertau Blanc, Cascade, and experimental 05256 hops. You want to call it a session IPA, fine, see if I care. A stripped down malt bill keeps the focus on the fruity, complex, pungent hop aroma and flavour. This beer is named after an awesomely weird utopian commune founded in 1848, which was way ahead of the curve on such titillating topics such as complex marriage, male continence, and mutual criticism. So yeah, should be quite interesting. It says on the back 50 IBUs, 1.008 original gravity. The hop bill on this one is Hallertau Blanc, German hops, Cascade, which are American, and experimental hop 05256, which I will guess is also American. It might not be, but there's also 2 row malts in this one and Carapil. So should be quite an interesting beer. As you can see, quite simply presented. I'll just check with the camera that you're seeing that properly. But yeah, looks really quite nice. I'll tip it up so the light doesn't reflect off it too much, but very nicely presented. So without further ado then, let's actually get cracking into this beer. It should be really quite interesting. Yeah, so as I said, I was very lucky to get a hold of this beer in Systembolaget, because the beer shops here, if you don't know, the beer shops here in Sweden are nationalised, so we've only got a limited range of beers that we can actually drink here. I'll just leave it at that just now. There's still a bit of it in the can, but I can enjoy that later, of course. But yeah, as you can see, this beer is poured a really nice kind of clear, almost clear yellow. It's slightly opaque, but a very attractive looking beer. You can see the colour of that quite well. I'll bring the light over just like you see, a very kind of bright yellowy amber colour this one. There's a finger of a frothy white head there, and there's a lot of carbonation visible on this one, but that might just be because of how clear it is. Very, very attractive looking beer, this one, I have to say. So yeah, if I put my fingers behind it, you can see that it is transparent. I think it's fair to describe this beer as a kind of pale golden straw. Some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass at the bottom, but quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there. Very, very attractive looking beer. So let's have a look at the aroma on this one here. Actually smells a little bit peachy. There's a good bit of tropical fruit in this one, passion fruit maybe, and definitely a grapefruit presence. Maybe a little bit of peaches and passion fruit. I think it's more passion fruit though, I have to admit. But that's the big part of the aroma that you will notice. This is a big, quite fruity beer. There's a bit of citrusy character in there too, a little bit of oranges, but I think it's the passion fruit that really stands out in this beer. I've got quite good at smelling these different fruits. I've been experimenting with different fruit juices and things to try and train my nose and my palate to all these different flavours, and it's worked quite well, so I'm pretty sure this is passion fruit that's in here. But there's a nice floral character to this beer as well, and that's, of course, you do get a nice kind of mild floral character and sort of slightly earthy as well from Hallertau hops. All varieties of them, they've got this nice sort of grassy floral aromatic thing there. You get a bit of that from the Cascade hop as well. It usually gives you a nice tropical fruit aroma in there. But we have to remember there's an experimental hop in here, so that's maybe where the passion fruit's coming from, and probably some of the aromatic character as well. But you can also pick up underneath that floral character, you can get a bit of smoother grassiness and a little bit of that earthy, that kind of noble earthy character, and that will be down to that Hallertau Blanc hop. But there's a nice bit of a kind of bready pale malt in this beer as well, and some of the sort of caramelly and biscuity sweetness, but mainly the malt base comes out as being a very light sort of pale malt bready character. So yeah, as I always say, before you try your beers, give them a good smell and see how you get on with them. This one smells really quite nice, quite fruity, and a good malt base in there as well. So without further ado then, let's get stuck into this beer. So this is the Oneida, an American Pale Ale. Their summer seasonal beer from Modern Times Beer in San Diego, California. I was going to say Good Times Beer there, so we'll see how that statement holds up. But skål. Now that's pretty damn good, I have to admit. Very light Very drinkable. That's the first impression I get of this beer, but as I always say, before you try and dissect the flavour too much, just sugar the beer around your palate and let the whole palate adjust before you start picking out individual flavours. But yeah, this is a really nice beer actually. It's an American Pale Ale. It says it's a Pale Ale rather than an IPA, this one. And in terms of a Pale Ale, probably one of the nicer Pale Ales I've come across actually. Not quite as fruity and sort of caramelly as some of the IPAs I've come across, but in terms of an American Pale Ale, very, very nice beer. Let's just chuck the rest of this in here while we've got a little bit of space, because this beer is going to go quite fast because it is very, very drinkable actually. So yeah, very good beer, this one. So as you could expect from the aroma, there's quite a nice floral character to this one. There's quite a big floral aromatic presence in the beer. When you've got Cascade hops, when you've got Hallertau hops, you do expect it to be there. It's a little bit spicy actually, and that comes out a bit more as you progress into the aftertaste, and that's probably the experimental hop coming out in this one. It's got quite a smooth grassy character to it as well around the front curve of the tongue there, and at the back of the palate you can just pick out a little bit of that very smooth and very light noble earthiness. But there's a good bit of fruity character in this as well. The malt base is very nice. The thing you'll notice about the malt base in this beer as well is that it is very smooth. The middle of your palate is just blanketed with this very light and really kind of very light pale bready malt, and I suppose 2-row malts from what I remember do give you that very light and very smooth, slightly doughy bready character actually. But yeah, there's a good fruity character in this one as well, but it's not quite as pronounced as you would expect from the aroma. It's actually quite subtle and a bit more juicy, but not very sharp, if that makes sense. So if you just go behind the very front curve of your palate there, the very front curve of the tongue, you'll feel this little oily bubble forming, and that's where a lot of your fruity flavours come out. There's grapefruit in there, there's a bit of passion fruit, and there's also some kind of citrusy flavour in there. Maybe oranges, but maybe more of a kind of generic citrus flavour. Maybe not quite juicy oranges, but I think the main fruit component in this beer is the grapefruit and the passion fruit. The citrusy fruit takes a bit of a back seat to the tropical fruit in my mind. But yeah, this beer is quite dangerously drinkable actually. You could down a few of these pretty easily, but it tastes very, very nice, and it's very smooth as well. It's a really good blend of flavours, this one. Yeah, that is pretty damn good. So like I said, around the edge of the palate where you're getting the hoppy characters, I can get a little bit of the kind of the quite light but quite smooth German noble hop character there. In the very back corners of the palate, you'll feel that there is a bit of a slightly more prominent dryness there. That's where the kind of noble earthy character's coming out. As you move a bit further forward, you can feel a little bit of the kind of floral aromatic dryness coming out around the sides of the palate, and as you go around the front curve of the tongue, there's a nice smooth grassy character coming out of this beer. So it's really, really quite nice actually. The hoppy character blends well with the nice malt base in there, and there is a bit of a lingering dry bitter character towards the back of the palate, some earthy and kind of floral aromatic hops in there. Yeah, really nice beer, and as I say, quite dangerously drinkable. So if you like your American Pale Ales, you like things that are a bit floral and aromatic in character, and you like things that are a little bit fruity, then this might be one to come to have a go of. The fruit character in this one is a little bit different, and the floral aromatic character does have a bit of spice to it, and I'm guessing that's something that the experimental hop is contributing a bit. The passion fruit is perhaps the experimental hop as well. They like to do that a lot in America. They like to crossbreed hops and get different fruit flavours, and I think this one had if I remember when I looked it up, it had a 14.7% alpha acid variety, so that gives you quite a lot of a kind of floral spicy character if I remember correctly. But this is a really, really nice American Pale Ale, so if you like big floral aromatic beers with just a little bit of fruit and the kind of bready malt base, if you like any of those factors, then give this beer a try. It's really interesting, and the flavours all blend together very well, and that's exactly what you want. As I say, this beer is quite dangerously sessionable actually. But in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I would say mid-bodied, probably fair to say mid-bodied. The carbonation in it is very, very smooth. At the same time, it does help bring out a bit of the more spicy character of the aromatic flavours. Quite an oily mouthfeel as well, but that suits it again. And it's got quite a good hoppy character. The hoppy bitterness in the back corners of the palate from the aromatic and the slightly earthy character from these German noble hops is really nice. There's a little bit of a juicy character to it as well, but the malt for me is actually quite prominent in this one. That big bready malt base, the very smooth bready malt base that just blankets the middle of your palate, it is really quite nice. So yeah, as I say, if you like any of these factors, a big bready malt base, floral aromatic hops, or a little bit of kind of tropical fruitiness, then this is a beer to go for. It combines all three and it's dangerously sessionable. So this beer for me, I can see why it's a summer beer, because it's nice and light and it's quite drinkable and quite refreshing. So yeah, it's pretty good. So hopefully I can return to Modern Times Beer and review a few more of their beers in the fairly near future. For some reason in this review I keep wanting to say Good Times Beer instead of Modern Times Beer, which is a little bit annoying, but this is a very, very good brewery. Going by this beer, seems to be that they're a very good brewery. This seasonal beer has been really nice, so hopefully I can review some more of their beers in the fairly near future. Hopefully System Bolaget bring some more of them to Sweden, because that would be really good. It's always good to visit another new brewery, especially when they're using experimental hops in their beer. So yeah, as always, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Please let me know in the comment section below your own thoughts on this beer. Always interested to hear from you guys. I'd be really interested to hear from those of you watching in California as well. But in the meantime, until my next beer review, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out the social media things and follow me on there. Your support would be much appreciated, and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in different beers. Over the next little while I'm doing some American things, some Polish beers, also I think I've got some Slovenian beers as well to review for you. I have quite a few different things, some Scottish beers that I'm reviewing for you when I go home for Christmas. This beer review was filmed in November, so it's a little bit in advance of when you're going to see it. But yeah, do subscribe to the channel. A lot of interesting things coming up. I thank you for watching my beer reviews. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Go and check out Modern Times Beer from San Diego in California. Some interesting beers, and hopefully I can review some more soon. But in the meantime, it's Slanja just now, and check out the channel. Cheers.